A glimmer of hope, Putin's call for direct talks. The world watches with a cautious blend of hope and skepticism as Russian President Vladimir Putin extends an olive branch, proposing direct peace talks with Ukraine. Scheduled for May 15, 2025 in Istanbul, these talks represent a potential turning point in a conflict that has gripped the world for over 3 years. The stakes are incredibly high, with millions displaced and countless lives lost. Putin's proposal comes amidst a backdrop of escalating tensions and unrelenting violence. The conflict, sparked in 2022, has plunged the region into turmoil, with global repercussions. The human cost of the conflict is immeasurable, with countless civilians caught in the crossfire. The choice of Istanbul as the venue for these pivotal talks is significant. Turkey, a NATO member with close ties to both Russia and Ukraine, has positioned itself as a neutral mediator throughout the conflict. Istanbul, a city straddling Europe and Asia, holds symbolic weight as a bridge between two seemingly irreconcilable sides. As the world awaits the outcome of these talks, the question remains: will this be a genuine step towards peace or merely a tactical maneuver in a protracted and devastating conflict? The answer for now remains shrouded in uncertainty. Europe's ultimatum, a 30-day ceasefire or further sanctions. European leaders in a united front have issued a clear ultimatum to Russia, a 30-day ceasefire starting on May 12, 2025, or face intensified sanctions and increased military support for Ukraine. This firm stance reflects the growing frustration and impatience within Europe over the ongoing conflict. The ultimatum underscores the severity of the situation and the urgent need for de-escalation. The message from Europe is unambiguous. The path to peace lies in dialogue and diplomacy, not continued violence. However, Russia's response has been far from conciliatory. The Kremlin has outright rejected the ultimatum, demanding a complete halt to Western arms deliveries to Ukraine as a precondition for any ceasefire. This uncompromising stance casts a shadow over the prospects for a peaceful resolution. The European ultimatum and Russia's subsequent rejection highlight the deep mistrust and divergent perspectives that continue to plague negotiations. As the clock ticks down to the proposed ceasefire deadline, the world holds its breath, hoping for a breakthrough. United Front European leaders meet Zelenskyy in Kiev. In a demonstration of solidarity and support, a delegation of European leaders, including the UK, French, German, and Polish heads of state, traveled to Kiev for a high-stakes meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. The visit, taking place against a backdrop of ongoing hostilities, aimed to underscore the unwavering commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The presence of European leaders in Kiev, a city that has endured relentless bombardment and the threat of siege, sends a powerful message of unity and resolve. It is a clear signal to Moscow that Europe stands shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine. During the meeting, European leaders reaffirmed their commitment to providing Ukraine with the necessary military and humanitarian assistance to defend itself against Russian aggression. They also stressed the importance of an immediate ceasefire and the resumption of meaningful peace talks. The Kiev meeting served as a timely reminder that the conflict in Ukraine is not merely a regional crisis, but a threat to the broader international order. The images of European leaders standing alongside President Zelenskyy in the heart of Kiev serve as a powerful symbol of defiance and resilience. Transatlantic support, U.S. backs ceasefire and threatens sanctions. Across the Atlantic, U.S. President Trump has thrown his weight behind the European ceasefire proposal, further increasing the pressure on Russia to engage in meaningful negotiations. President Trump, known for his unpredictable foreign policy decisions, has surprised many by adopting a firm stance against Russia's actions in Ukraine. The U.S. has been a steadfast supporter of Ukraine since the conflict's outbreak, providing billions of dollars in military aid and imposing crippling sanctions on the Russian economy. Trump's endorsement of the European ultimatum signifies a united front against Russian aggression. Moreover, President Trump has gone a step further, threatening to impose additional sanctions targeting Russia's vital energy and banking sectors if a ceasefire is not implemented. These sanctions, if enacted, would further isolate Russia from the global financial system and cripple its ability to wage war. The U.S.'s unwavering support for Ukraine and its willingness to impose severe economic consequences on Russia demonstrate the high stakes involved in the conflict. The potential for a wider global confrontation looms large if a diplomatic solution is not found. Section 5. Ukraine's position: open to dialogue, demanding concrete actions. Ukraine, facing an existential threat from its larger neighbor, has expressed its willingness to engage in a ceasefire and participate in peace talks. However, President Zelenskyy and his government have made it clear that any ceasefire must be predicated on a complete cessation of hostilities and the withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukrainian territory. While open to dialogue, Ukraine remains resolute in its refusal to cede any territory or compromise its sovereignty. The Ukrainian people have demonstrated extraordinary courage and resilience in the face of Russian aggression, and their determination to defend their homeland remains unwavering. The Ukrainian government views Russia's demands for a halt to Western arms deliveries as a non-starter, arguing that such a move would only embolden Russia and make Ukraine more vulnerable to further attacks. They see the provision of military aid from Western partners as essential for their self-defense. Ukraine's stance highlights the complex dynamics at play. While eager for peace, Ukraine is unwilling to accept a settlement that would reward Russian aggression or compromise its long-term security. The path to a negotiated settlement remains fraught with obstacles. Section 6. Seeds of doubt: Western skepticism over Russia's intentions. Despite Putin's overtures and the upcoming peace talks, Western leaders remain deeply skeptical of Russia's true intentions. Their skepticism is rooted in a long history of broken promises, unfulfilled agreements, and ongoing hostilities that belie Russia's stated desire for peace. The recent drone attack on Kiev, occurring just days before the proposed talks, has only deepened these suspicions. Many view it as a cynical attempt by Russia to strengthen its negotiating position through military means and undermine any goodwill generated by the peace initiative. Furthermore, the memory of previous failed ceasefire attempts, such as those coinciding with the anniversary of World War II, the Easter holiday, and proposals for humanitarian corridors, fuels the skepticism surrounding Russia's commitment to a lasting peace. These past failures have eroded trust and raised questions about Russia's willingness to abide by its commitments. The deep-seated mistrust between the parties involved poses a significant hurdle to any meaningful progress in the peace talks. Bridging this chasm of suspicion will be crucial if a lasting and sustainable peace is to be achieved. Section 7. Putin's demands: a roadmap to peace or non-starters for Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, in his characteristically assertive style, has laid out Russia's conditions for ending the conflict in Ukraine. These demands, however, have been met with a mixture of apprehension and outright rejection from both Ukraine and its Western allies, who view them as non-starters and potential stumbling blocks to peace. Central to Putin's demands is the insistence that Ukraine officially renounce its aspirations of joining NATO. Russia views NATO expansion as a direct threat to its security and has repeatedly cited it as a primary justification for its actions in Ukraine. Furthermore, Putin demands that Ukraine formally recognize Russian sovereignty over the 4 annexed regions in eastern Ukraine. This demand, however, strikes at the heart of Ukraine's territorial integrity and is seen by many as a blatant attempt by Russia to legitimize its territorial gains through military force. The uncompromising nature of these demands raises serious doubts about Russia's willingness to engage in good faith negotiations. Many see them as deliberate obstacles designed to derail the peace process and shift the blame for the conflict's continuation onto Ukraine. Section 8. Istanbul, a familiar setting for uncertain negotiations. As the world awaits the commencement of direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, all eyes turn to Istanbul, a city steeped in history and chosen as the venue for this crucial diplomatic endeavor. It's a location imbued with symbolism, having hosted numerous international summits and peace conferences throughout its long and storied past. The choice of Istanbul is particularly noteworthy given its historical significance in the context of Russo-Turkish relations. The city, once the capital of the Ottoman Empire, was the site of numerous conflicts and treaties between the two powers. Today it represents a potential bridge between East and West. Moreover, Istanbul holds particular relevance to the current conflict, having hosted a previous round of negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in 2022. Those talks, while ultimately unsuccessful in ending the fighting, did produce a draft agreement that could serve as a starting point for the upcoming discussions. As negotiators prepare to meet in Istanbul, the city's rich history and its symbolic importance as a meeting point between cultures and civilizations offer a glimmer of hope. Whether this historical resonance will translate into tangible progress towards peace remains to be seen. Section 9. The long road ahead. Hope and uncertainty in the quest for peace. As the world holds its breath, the shadow of war continues to loom over the upcoming peace talks. The path to a lasting and just peace in Ukraine remains fraught with obstacles, and the outcome of the Istanbul negotiations hangs in the balance. The deep-seated mistrust between the parties, fueled by years of conflict and broken promises, casts a long shadow over the proceedings. The recent drone attacks, a stark reminder that violence continues unabated, further underscore the fragility of the situation. Despite the immense challenges, the willingness of both sides to come to the negotiating table offers a glimmer of hope. The international community, united in its condemnation of Russian aggression, must seize this opportunity to push for a peaceful resolution. The road to peace will be long and arduous, requiring difficult compromises and unwavering commitment from all parties involved. The stakes are incredibly high, with the fate of millions hanging in the balance. The world watches and waits, hoping against hope that this time diplomacy will prevail.